Okay, displacement maps, even though they're a little complicated and a little crotchety, are actually really cool. And we're going to use displacement maps, and we're also going to use this filter called lighting effects inside Photoshop. So let's just get down to two images now. One's called newCardType.tiff. I created the black background and I created white text and I flattened them together. That's all that's happened here, nothing special. So now I want to turn it into something that's going to serve both as a displacement map, but also to create a bump map for the lighting effects so that the lighting effects filter can emboss the text. Okay, so what do we do? Well, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to blur the inside of these letters. So what I want you to do is go to the Channels palette, press Command or Control, and click on the word gray. And that loads the white letters as a selection outline. So it really just selects the white letters and nothing else. Now I want you to go under the Filter menu and choose Gaussian Blur, our buddy. Photoshop is actually blurring both the black and white pixels, but it's only applying the blur to the white pixels. So it's not lightening the black pixels at all. So I'm going to raise this value to 8.0 pixels and go ahead and press Return or Enter to OK it. That's going to create sort of this sculptural feel to the white letters. That's going to bend them outward. But I don't want to have this really hard edge between the black and the white. I do want to soften that a little bit too. So press Command or Control D and press Command Option or Control Alt F to bring back up the Gaussian Blur dialog box, and this time enter 2, just a radius of 2, just a little bit of softening on these letters, a little bit of blurriness. So this is what we get, and this is going to serve both as our displacement map and our bump map. So let's first make the displacement map. What's the problem with this as a displacement map? Well, it's black and white. This time we're doing a vertical displacement map, not a horizontal one. So the black would bend the pixels down, displace the pixels downward, and white would displace the pixels upward. But I don't want that much movement going on. I just want a little bit of upward displacement. I don't want any downward displacement, so I don't want any black, do I? I just want neutral gray where we're now seeing black, so there's no displacement in that area. So press Command or Control L, and let's make the darkest color medium gray. How do we do that? Tab, tab, tab to the first output levels value and enter 128. And that changes what was once black to what is now medium gray. And hit Return, and here it is. Now, go under the File menu and choose Save As. We're going to call it newCardType.psd, so select the Photoshop format and click Save. Okay, so we've now created the displacement map. I'm going to undo this. I'm going to press Command Option or Control Alt Z to undo the shifting of the black to gray. The reason is because I also want to use this image as a bump map. So press Command A, Command C. On the PC, press Control A, Control C. That copies the image. Now switch back to the striped background image and go to the Channels palette and make a new channel by clicking on this New Channel button. It'll make just a new alpha channel that's totally black, and press Command or Control V to paste in the new card image, and press Command or Control D to deselect it. Okay, so now we have all the key ingredients we need. We have a displacement map saved to disk, that's gray and white, and we have a bump map that's saved as a separate alpha channel inside our RGB image that's black and white. Now let's raise and light the letters. We'll raise the letters using the Displace filter. So go under the Filter menu and choose Distort and choose Displace. This time we're going to displace vertically. So I'm going to enter 0 for scale. I'll just enter 5% vertical scale and click OK. Now I'm going to go into the next folder, DMap and Lighting, and there we'll find New Card Type PSD, which we just saved a moment ago, and click Open. And there we go. Now, doesn't look like much. It's completely illegible as letters, completely unreadable as being a bunch of letters. However, this is going to make a really big difference. And lighting effects is a command that both darkens and lightens an image. So it casts shadows and it casts highlights. I'd like you to go down here to the Create New Layer button and press the Option or Alt key and click on it. Now, name this layer Lighting. And I want you to select the overlay mode, because overlay allows us to multiply and screen an image at the same time. And then Photoshop is going to offer us this checkbox, fill with overlay neutral color. Would you like to do that? And the answer is yes, that's exactly what we want to do, because we want to create a layer filled with 50% gray, and click OK. Now notice that the layer shows up as gray over here in the thumbnail in the Layers palette, but over here in the image window it shows up as nothing. Doesn't look like we did a darn thing. And that's because of the overlay mode. If I was to switch back to the normal mode, we'd see gray. But gray is overlay neutral, or that is to say, where the overlay blend mode is concerned, gray is an invisible color. And black becomes dark, and white becomes light, and so on and so on. Go under the Filter menu, and choose Render, and choose Lighting Effects. Select one of these modes. Let's see, which one do I think is the best one to select? Select Soft Spotlight. This is one of the predefined styles for us. And notice that what happens here inside Lighting Effects is you have this stage, this area where you create the lighting effect in the first place. And this represents the light. This point, this square point here, represents the light. And this white circle here represents the point at which the light is shining, represents the focus spot for the light. And you can move the light around by dragging it, and you can change where the light is shining by dragging this, and how big the light is by dragging these points like this. Basically, you're just changing how the light is focused on the stage. Under the texture channel, choose Alpha 1. Alpha 1, which is where I put my new card image. This is super, and click OK. So it's a little bright, actually, a little bit garish, but that's okay. Choose Overlay now so that it blends in with the background. And my letters are a little bit too high contrast, so I'm going to back off this effect a little bit by backing off the opacity. Something like that. I could have gone a little more rounded with this. You know, you could play with the lighting effects to get things a little more round than this. Still, all things considered, very good. Now, you can see that not only do we have this real 3D embossing, this real sculptural embossing going on, but we also have the stripe bending with the letters. Notice how it bends with the letters. That is displacement maps. That's why they're so cool. Told you they were cool. Now I hope you believe me.